Hey guys, welcome to the Pack Mule YouTube channel where we're talking about gears, camping, hunting, fishing, and all things of interest to the Pack Mule world. As you know, we've got a bunch of rigs. Rigs are our life. It's how we go places, do the fun things that we're wanting to do. And as you've seen, we've got a 1-ton Ram truck that's used for hauling our trade show gear. It's also got our camper in the back for when we're doing big extended hunt trips. And then we have a 3/4 ton Suburban that we use for family trips, travel, and more localized heavy-duty trips. We recently bought this 4Runner. It's a 2022 TRD off-road premium. And, you know, it's a 1/4 ton vehicle, and we're used to heavy-duty vehicles. And we quickly realized that when we load this down, it doesn't like the amount of weight that we're putting on it. It sagged pretty quickly. And so we recognize we need to increase the spring load in the back end to be able to account for the Pack Mule, all the gear that we have in the back, and dogs and people. We bought this vehicle specifically for shorter trips, sort of small, light, nimble hunting trips as well, off-road camping, travel, backpacking stuff, where we have less people, less gear, and we're trying to get into tighter spaces versus our big 1-ton truck. And so it's a very specific type of vehicle for what we're doing, but we're going to build this out. We realize when we add load springs to the back that it sort of parlays into everything else. I have a winch on every vehicle that we own, and so in the purpose of having the insurance of quick recovery on the front, that parlayed into a front end replacement, a bunch of other things. So here we are at Comal Truck Gear in New Braunfels to do a full build with a list of partners that have sent some gear to help us make this the best rig that we can make it to support our travels and adventures.
Hi, my name is Trey Palrero. I'm the owner of Comal Truck Gear. We started the shop 4 years ago, Hudson and I did, doing trips in Baja back in 2013 and Raptor events in 2012. So we've seen a lot of things go wrong and what works and what doesn't with trucks. So that's sort of where we came up with the concept with the shop, was to build vehicles that just worked and didn't break. And we've been doing it for 4 years now. And you know, we built a lot of Ford Raptors like this one here. This is my truck. And we specialize in that and Toyotas. I feel like we put out a good product that's a really good, reliable vehicle, and we don't miss any details.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Hudson here at Comal Truck Gear. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do on Kansas 4Runner as far as the improvements to the factory suspension system. Here at Comal Truck Gear, we're kind of known for specializing in suspension and off-road rigs purpose-built for customers. So first of all, the biggest thing we're going to replace is the shocks on the truck. What we're going to go to is a Fox 2.5-inch body shock with a remote reservoir. It allows for a greater range of adjustability, greater heat dissipation, and just overall better performance. This is a front shock here. You'll see it's a shock and coil spring combo. Spring rate's been increased over the factory spring rate to help support the weight of the truck. Reservoir is dual adjustable for both high and low speed compression, as well as an adjustable nitrogen port here to adjust the air pressure. Rear shocks, kind of the same thing, 2.5-inch with a reservoir, keeps the oil and air separate, allows for adjustable air pressure. And then we're also going to replace the rear coil spring in the back of the truck with a heavier weight spring to support the weight of gear, Pack Mule, and such. The last piece is going to be the upper control arm. Upper control arms on these Toyotas are kind of notorious for not necessarily being weak, but for lacking the adjustability that you need once you raise the vehicle. When you raise these trucks, they lose a lot of caster. Upper control arms provide a lot of caster and camber adjustment. So basically, you can get the driving characteristics tuned in perfectly for the height of the vehicle, as well as it replaces the ball joint with a 1.25-inch uniball here. So this is like a stainless aircraft grade uniball. High misalignments, 9/16 bolt.
How's it going? I'm Matt. I'm working at Comal Truck Gear. I've been here about 2 years, and I'll have to show you about this 4Runner. All right, so right now I am trying to pop this ball joint loose on the upper control arm and the knuckle. I've already got the tie rod off. The sway bar I've got loose, and I've got the upper control arm loosened back here. I've got a poly pulse loosen on the top of the strut and also the bottom. That's typically all you have to do. I pulled these flaps down because it'll make easier access later on getting this long bolt out. You got to pull it all the way through the front of the truck. There we go. I have all these brake lines loose and the ABS wire just in case the knuckle pulls it out, so you don't pull them out of these critical spots. They're all still loose. You got plenty of room to wiggle, so you don't have to worry about yanking these out of the back, out of the breaking any clips or anything. Next, we will hold this up, this control arm, and then we'll be able to pry out the strut from in here once you get these last few nuts off.
We're just gonna do this to protect the nice finish on the reservoirs from the stainless steel hose cams. It's not necessary. It's just a small little detail we like to put into our process here at Comal Truck Gear. Something we've been doing a long time. It's fairly common these days. It used to not be so common. But yeah, it's just one little extra step to kind of keep the finish looking nice on everything. And burn my fingers.
About 24 3/4 inches on the front.
You mentioned it's 24 3/4, it's an inch and a quarter.
Okay. All right, so we got the front end all wrapped up here on the pack mule 4Runner. We replaced the factory upper control arm with this built aluminum unit. It's got Heim joints for the frame side pivots, an inch and a quarter uniball here. The Heim joints allow for extra adjustability as far as the alignment's concerned. Extra caster, which is necessary when you lift the front end of late model Toyotas. Uniball here allows for extra droop travel. Extra droop travel is actually provided by this Fox coil over here. So this front end now cycles a little extra than the factory suspension. We've got an increased spring rate over the factory to provide a little more stability, support the weight of the front end a little bit better. This kit included dual adjustable reservoirs on the Fox shocks, which is a nice improvement. You can kind of tailor the compression dampening to kind of what you're doing if you're driving around town, or if you're going to be doing 200 miles of dirt roads at a faster pace. As you can see, everything's kind of wrapped up, tightened up, ready to go. Coilover hoses are protected. NICs everywhere to keep everything from sticking together, make everything user friendly and a little more serviceable, so that in a year's time or so when the guys bring it back in, rebuild the shocks and arms and stuff, we can get everything pulled apart quickly. You'll see that there's cross check on basically everything that we pulled apart on the front end. That's basically like a tamper-proof torque mark, and basically it just allows us to go back through and make sure that everything is still tight, and if stuff does happen to come loose, vibrate loose, rattle loose, or anything like that, we'll know, because this orange stuff hardens and it'll basically crack off.
So our shop is located on 35, south side of New Braunfels. We've got a great location right off the highway, so if you're ever in the area and see the Comal sign, feel free to stop in and chat about vehicles. One of the reasons that we are good at what we do is that both Hudson and I race and navigate in off-road trophy trucks down in Mexico and in the US. I even own an off-road race series. So we've got a lot of mechanical knowledge of what does and doesn't work, just based on all of our experience riding in race trucks. And the same thing with the Raptors. We go to Mexico and we do 1,500 to 2,000 miles off-road. And while we're down there, things break, we fix it, we see what works, we see what doesn't work, and then come up with the ideas of what to put into trucks and build to make the perfect truck for off-road.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the rear. Matt has already started the disassembly here. He's got the sway bar disconnected. He's working on getting the panhard bar disconnected so that we can droop out the axle, pull the rear springs. The rear shocks have already been removed. This is a factory rear shock here. It's just 2 bolts to take it off. There's a pin mount here and a stem top here. So this is what we're going to replace it with. It's a Fox 2.5. See, it's slightly longer, much bigger. You can see the shock body size here versus the shock body size here. So this is a 2.5-inch diameter shock with a remote reservoir, low extra fluid capacity, so that the shocks don't get hot as quickly. Also, it's rebuildable, revalvable, tunable, serviceable. So earlier we looked at the springs that we are taking out of the truck. This is the springs we are putting in the truck. As you can see, this is a much larger spring diameter, larger spring rate, much taller spring. So this will help account for all the extra weight in the back of the vehicle, as well as the weight of the package. Alright, so we removed the air dam, and they removed some other little connectors. There's a few little bolts and plastic clips that kind of hold the grill to the sheet metal core support parts. And now that we've got all of that taken off, we can pull the whole thing off. So now we got the bumper final fitted. You can see we had to do quite a bit of plastic trimming here and here to fit it. The ARB went together real nice. Lots of little parts, but once they go together, they look really good. Cool thing about this bumper is it incorporates the factory radar cruise control here, factory LED fog lights, which is nice, and then it includes an additional LED turn signal. Obviously, you still have the factory turn signal, but that's just a nice little improvement. Winch is down here, located behind the license plate. And the nice thing about these bumpers is it's got kind of an OEM style collapsible crash bar behind the bumper cover. So in the event of some sort of frontal collision, the impact doesn't go straight to the frame rail. It's got kind of a sacrificial piece mounted behind both force points here.
Well, we're really excited to have wrapped up this build for Packville in Kansas. I think it came out really good. You know, the ARB bumper looks great. The TOYO MTs are an awesome tire, and the Fox suspension is going to work awesome with the Camburg upper control arms. If you guys are interested in a build like this or something more extreme or less extreme, be sure to look us up, ComalTruckGear.com, or come see us in New Braunfels at exit 184 at the corner of Ruckle and 35.
Just wrapped up the build at Comal Truck Gear, and just want to kind of walk you through some of the decisions we made and the gear that we selected. For me, just even starting with the rubber, which is the last thing we put on, to me that's paramount. That's your traction, that's your connection to the pavement, but it's also your traction when you're off-road. If you're doing anything that's far removed from pavement, I always like to have a mud terrain because I know that it's going to clean out, it's going to grab, it's going to push, and there's less potential to get stuck. And when you end up in recovery modes, that's when things break and that's when it's more difficult. So I always try to give myself as much traction as possible so that I have more confidence in where I'm going. For recovery, we put a warn on the front end of this vehicle. To mount it, we've got this ARB, which has our crash protection, manages our cruise control. It's also got a mounting kit where we can put some lights on the front of that. It gives us some extra front end protection too, so if we're coming through a tight trail and we rub against a tree, we're not going to smash up the front end of the car. We also live in the hill country. There's always a potential for deer to be in the road and other critters when we're driving at night, and so it's important to have that extra protection there. I've got a warrant on the front of every one of my vehicles, and so I can really vouch for them. I've also got front protection on most of my vehicles. This is our first time to use ARB, and I'm really excited to try that out. For the suspension, we went with Fox. We've got their factory race 2.5. We've got coilover with a remote reservoir on the front. In the rear, we went with a 3-inch spring to give it the lift. These are the adjustable shocks. We're able to give it some extra lift in the front and support the weight of the ARB and the winch. And then in the rear, with the additional weight capacity and the 3-inch spring, it's going to allow us to have the pack mule on the back loaded down, to be able to have extra gear inside the vehicle and to go on these travel adventures with friends and family off in the woods, camping, hunting, mountain biking, and just getting deep and trying to get away from it all. We're really excited to go check this rig out, to test it, put it through its paces, and we hope to be able to show it to you at a show here in the near future. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, give us a comment below. Make sure you like and follow us, and we'll see you on the next one.